Dear potential unmatched applicant, you got 3 days to prepare for potentially being unmatched. If you match, great. If you don't match, it's better to be ready. It's better to have a game plan. Okay? So I made a lot of mistakes when I went unmatched. Of course, no one prepares you for going unmatched. But the reality is, many of you do, many of you will. And some of you have a feeling, some of you have an idea, some of you, it's a total surprise. For me, there was a girl in my med school class. She started med school at 19. She had done 2 years of research before. She graduated undergrad at like 17 or something. And what? Her mom, they were neurosurgeons. She applied to neurosurgery. She didn't match. I was like, what? I thought she was, on the path. Another girl, not a minority, by the way. These are not minorities. These are rich, regular, white people. Didn't match. Another girl, OB. She was a star applicant. She was in my school. She was great. Everyone loved her. They put pictures of her on the PR campaigns or whatever. She was on the magazine. She was on the website. Didn't match. So if you have an idea that you're not going to match, you need to start preparing from now. Number one thing, your personal statement. When you apply for programs in the SOAP, it's not ideal to send your same personal statement that you wrote for orthopedic surgery or for ENT to an internal medicine prelim. So you need to modify it. You need to think and reflect in the next few days. What are the things that are potential reasons for me to go unmatched, and address those and curate your personal statement? It could be based on the same template that you used before to each program: prelim IM, prelim surgery, transitional year, and then write something at the top or in the middle that shows you did some research about their program. So that means you have to have a nice template already prepared, because on Monday you're just going to have an afternoon and evening to do all this. Okay? And it's totally doable if you're prepared. The other thing is what? Letters of recommendation. These letters of recommendation, some people said to me, my school, they said, oh, you don't have time to contact your letter writers and whatever. And then a doctor came up to me when I was outside and said, your school is not saying the right thing, because I would write someone a letter in one day if I knew that they didn't match. So what can you do? Right now, you can email people who wrote you letters, and you can tell them, hey, I've reflected, I've realized maybe my application isn't as strong as I thought it would be. Or more recently, one of my advisors, the program director at my school, one of the attendings I work with told me my application is not as strong as I think it is, and I potentially might go unmatched. If that happens, are you able to please modify the letter that you wrote for me to mention that I want unmatched, and that I was a surprise, and that I potentially could thrive in a prelim IM or a prelim surgery, a transitional year, and talk about etc., XYZ. I'm probably going to focus on applying to transitional years. I'm probably going to focus on applying to prelims, but keep it general. Discuss how surprised you are that I didn't match. Discuss how you've talked to me about the potential, deficits that I have and what I can do to make up for it. I don't really care. All I really care about is that you get in touch with these letter writers, okay? There should be a line of communication. Think about it. This is your whole future. Someone's writing you a letter of recommendation for residency. You should be able to communicate with them, okay? And if you're not able to communicate with them, then you did not pick a strong letter writer. This, of course, now we can go into a whole tangent on how to ask for a letter. But let me just tell you, when you ask someone for a letter, you have to use these words. Are you able to write me a strong letter of support for residency, etc.? Not, can you just write me a letter, please? Any letter, anything will do. I just need a letter. Okay? You can't do that. So the personal statement, the letters. And then on top of that, you have to rally support, okay? You have to be ready to know, who am I going to call, all right, when I'm orphaned? Who am I going to call when I'm desperate and homeless and I have no place to go? Who am I going to call, okay? In my case, there had plenty of people that I reached out to that helped me. One of them was a bariatric surgeon at my program. One of them was the dean, one of the assistant deans. Some of them were attendings I had rotated with, because every rotation I'm assuming you've tried your best in every rotation. I reached out to psych attendings, pediatric attendings, internal medicine attendings, anesthesiology, orthopedics, gen surge. They all had my back. They all took care of me. Okay? One guy wrote me a letter, hadn't even written me a letter the first time, wrote me a whole new letter, met with me, bought me breakfast on a Tuesday or something. I met him in the OR. He was a general surgeon. I had worked with him 2 years before that. So you have to rally support. Okay, you have to get ready. This is how they say, you need like a community. Like, you need a community to like raise a kid. It's the same thing. You need a community to go to match. Okay, you need a community. Personal statement, letters of recommendation, rallying support. Okay, what's next? Obviously, you have to identify what programs you're going to apply to. All right, that's going to happen pretty much the day of. All right, but there's programs that historically have many unmatched, spots. That's something you can look up and read about. Obviously, what programs are these? Transitional years, prelims, prelim surgery, prelim IM. They're all going to have spots, okay? Because they all take people in the SOAP. That's just the nature of what they are, okay? That's the nature of what they are. Now, Harvard, probably not going to have a spot, okay? But regular, middle, and high tier, those are the things that you're going to want to look for. And of course, there's going to be low tier ones. Now, what's one mistake that I made? And I'll make a video about my experience on Unmatched Day. All right. But on my Unmatched Day, I applied to 50 programs in the SOAP, and I just started picking randomly. Okay, I'll do 10 IM, I'll do 10 transitional year. And you know what else? I'll apply to it. Oh, there's one ENT spot, I'll apply to it. I'll apply to a radiation oncology spot. I'll apply to a neurosurgery spot. Of course, what was I thinking? It was actually it was insanely stupid. Okay, I was having this fantasy, this optimistic bias. Oh man, I didn't match orthopedics. Maybe I'll just take neurosurgery, and then I'll drop down later. Obviously, they didn't even look at me. These places that have unmatched spots, they fill them with applicants who are pretty much going for that specialty, okay? That OB girl that I told you about, she matched in the SOAP, she matched OB, all right? People aren't like totally changing their whole career path unless they're taking a prelim or something like that, or out of desperation, there's spots that are open, okay? But that's not how it's going to be for you. You have to stick to your plan of what you want, if it's what you actually want, and apply strategically at programs that are actually going to take you, all right? So if you decide, you know what, I'm not going to do surgery anymore, I'm just going to take IM, that's fine. You can apply the categorical IM. But don't be someone who went unmatched internal medicine, and now you're going to apply the categorical general surgery in the SOAP. Okay, it's just not going to happen. All right, they're not going to take you. They have so many there's way more unmatched applicants than unfilled spots, unfortunately. All right. Personal statement, recommendation letters, rallying support, applying strategically. The next thing now is you have to prepare for the interview. Okay, if you get any interviews in the SOAP, you have 50 spots, so potentially you can get 50 interviews. I applied to those 50. Only like maybe 35 of them were actual programs that could have possibly taken me. I got 8 interviews, all right? And I got 0 offers from the programs that interviewed me. And then I got 1 blind offer, as in someone just shot me an offer without even talking to me. And that's the only one I got in the first round. What does that tell you about my interview skills? They were terrible. They needed work. Probably the reason I didn't match. Okay? So what does that mean? You might have a different deficit. You might be someone who's so great at interviewing, but you never got any interviews because your scores were terrible, or because you didn't have strong letters of recommendation. In my case, I had to work on my interview skills, okay? For you, you have to reflect and you have to be ready to talk about why you didn't match and what you're willing to do about it. And that's part of the interview. So when you're going to practice interviewing and being asked this embarrassing question, why didn't you match? What's your deficit? What's wrong with you? And then you also have to discuss about how you have a plan to make up for it, okay? So if I'm applying to orthopedics and I take a gen surge prelim, I need to talk about how it's going to be such a great opportunity for me to be in the OR, for me to network, for me to practice my suturing, my surgical skills, for me to develop the ability to take care of the post-surgical patient, the pre-surgical patient, right? What's the smartest surgeon, what do? They're able to identify who needs surgery and who doesn't. And that's what a general surgery prelim is going to teach you. And you're going to take that skill set, it's going to roll over to orthopedics, all right? But if you decide that you're going to go a different route, or you know what, I did a prelim, I took a prelim IM, like in my case, and I have applied to orthopedics the first time. Wait a second, this prelim IM, actually, it's a great opportunity because in the past, I was so pigeonholed into orthopedics, but now I have an opportunity to explore other specialties and to develop my primary care skills and to really get a broad picture of what medicine is. And potentially, I might pivot towards a primary care specialty or radiology, which was, of course, my case. And so that's really going to give me that understanding of what the clinician actually sees. And it's going to give me the opportunity to do physical exams and to see patients that are hospitalized and how they get better and how their scans correlate with their clinical course, etc., right? You're going to curate your answer for every single thing, okay? What was for me my deficit besides the interview? I didn't even have a chance to talk about my deficits because my interview skills were so terrible that I didn't even know what to talk about. But my other deficit was research. And in like 4 months, I pushed up and I published like 12 things, posters and presentations and whatever in regional conferences. And I could have spoken about that if I had the opportunity, if I knew what I was doing, right? But I didn't. And so uh, the point is, like, you have to discuss and you have to be confident in saying what you're going to do, how you're going to make up for it, and what your plan is moving forward, and how this program can help you. All right, so we talked about the personal statement, letters of recommendation, interview skills, rallying support, identifying programs to apply to. Here's the last thing that I'm going to leave you with. Okay, I have to summarize it for myself because I forget, because there's so much. I definitely have to make a second video. Get over the mentality that your school sucks. Okay? Because when you go unmatched, what's your first response? Damn it. I mean, who's teaching you how to prepare for residency when you're a first year med student or a second year med student? No one's teaching anything. They're just keeping you up late. All right? They're giving you tests about topics that you have no idea what you're studying. They're throwing you curveballs, and that's why you're so prepared. Okay? Because you graduated and you went to a terrible med school that you think your med school sucks. That's why it's up to you. You have to take things into your own hands. And that's what I did when I went unmatched. On unmatched day, I walked into my school. They gathered us all. They gave us information. And I knew right away. People were asking them questions. I was like, you know what? I'm done with these people. I'm doing my own thing. I'm going to figure this out on my own. Because they already let me down once. All right? If a kid's 8 years old, they don't know how to read. They don't know how to speak. Whose fault is it? It's their parents. If you go unmatched as a fourth-year med student when you pay $200,000 in tuition, someone should have shook you. Someone should have helped you. Someone should have intervened earlier. But they didn't. So you might as well just give up on them. That doesn't mean now that you can't benefit from them. But you're not going to look at them as your prophet, as your guide, as your mentor. No. You're going to take some of the information that they give you. You're going to say, okay, this is good information. I can use this. This is a terrible information, terrible piece of advice. I'm going to throw this out, okay? So you have to get over the mentality. The day you go unmatched, the second you go unmatched, something has to flip. And you have to say, I'm getting rid of the mentality that my med school sucks. I'm getting rid of the mentality of blaming other people. It's not, yeah, they did screw you. They did not put you in the best position when you were rotating. They didn't give you the best electives. They didn't prepare you for the boards. They didn't teach you how to study on your own. Or they surprise you with the fact that you have to study on your own in med school. You got to throw all that out the window and realize, okay, the next 4 days, I got to lock in. I got to take initiative. I got to push up. I have to email. I have to call. I have to reach out. Med school is not going to save you, all right? They don't care, unfortunately. Because what happens? At the end of the day, one of the deans, she was there, 2 p.m. or whatever, our meeting, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. What happened? She went back. She went home to her family. Right? And I'm still, Monday evening, I'm unmatched. Tuesday evening, I'm unmatched. She's with her family. She still has a job. She still has income. She still has a contract with the university. And what am I? I'm unmatched, right? So you have to take things into your own hands. Get rid of that mentality. Own it. Push up. Step up. Reach out to me. If you go unmatched, reach out to me. I'll help you.